In the past decade, depression and anxiety amongst adolescents increased by over 50%. During the same time period, the proportion of high school girls considering suicide increased from 19 to 30%. Understanding the various factors that play a role in this mental health crisis among adolescents is very complicated. Therefore, I want to focus on just one emotional factor that oftentimes goes unnoticed, undetected, and therefore untreated. Here is a quote that a depressed adolescent patient sent me that I think captures this dynamic quite accurately. But let me know what you think. Do you think that this could possibly be a contributing factor to these increasing rates of depression and thoughts of suicide? And I quote, "Certain teenagers develop an inflated opinion of their own importance, a feeling that they are special and unique. Many adolescents view themselves as reaching great heights of omnipotence and also sinking into unusual depths of despair, experiences that others cannot possibly understand. In my field, the field of psychoanalysis, this is what we oftentimes refer to as manic defenses." Now, when I say manic, I don't mean this in a clinical sense. This is not the type of mania you would see in bipolar or cyclothymia. No, what I'm referring to are a cluster of coping mechanisms that are used and designed to help the adolescent protect themselves from inner painful feelings. These protective mechanisms are designed to alleviate and protect them from what? Deeper inner feelings of loss and insecurities. I'm leaving this sort of vague because we don't even know until we get a little bit closer to these omnipotent defenses. We don't know exactly what they're warding off. Now, while they serve the important function of protecting the adolescent from experiencing these painful feelings, on the other hand, they lead to certain problems as well. They lead to problems with self-esteem regulation, and they lead to interpersonal problems with one's peer group. For instance, adolescents who have this grandiose perception of themselves may have a hard time authentically connecting with friends and family. Their inflated self-perceptions often leads them to feel detached, not only from themselves, which of course is true, they're detached from that whole other set of feelings that they don't experience, but they're also detached from others. This detachment hinders their capacity to form genuine bonds with their peer group. Why is this important? Because we're thinking about the link between this omnipotent manic defense and depression. So you may be asking, how are these two things linked? And herein lies the link. The more or the higher this sort of sense of omnipotence and grandiosity, the more detached they become from themselves and others. The more detached they become, it's often reported that they feel more isolated, misunderstood, and alone. These feelings contribute to an increase in depressive symptomatology, as you might imagine. Now, while these defenses provide one with short-term relief, what I'm trying to emphasize is that in the long run, these defenses, this omnipotent, grandiose defense, plays a significant role in increasing loneliness and therefore increasing depression. And therefore, that's why I think we need to pay particular attention to this intrapsychic and interpersonal dynamic. And my approach when working with these adolescents and their families is to get as close as possible to these feelings of the grandiosity and the omnipotence. An inquisitive line of questioning often looks something like this. When you are the best, when you are the greatest, when you are the most popular, when you are the strongest, what does that look like? Who's going to see this? What will they think? How do you imagine you'll feel then? Eventually, this line of questioning evolves into deeper questioning, all designed to help the adolescent begin to tap into this inner world, the world that's been segregated or separated, leaving them feeling, remember, detached from themselves. These questions will evolve into, when you feel so loved, how does that work? And why does it feel like it's so important, the most important thing, to make sure that everybody always loves you and sees you as the best or the greatest? I have found in my own practice that this approach fosters a sense of validation and understanding and begins to help them get in touch with, again, I said this earlier, but feelings that have previously been unknown to them. More painful feelings that they haven't really been able to think about. In essence, in short, appreciation of these manic omnipotent defenses allows for a more genuine connection, both with oneself and then with others. And when there's a more genuine connection with others, loneliness and isolation tend to decrease, and therefore depression begins to decrease as well. Anyway, I'm really interested in hearing what you think about this perspective and this approach. Please leave a comment below, and if you want to hear or learn anything more about the relationship between narcissism and depression, I will link some of my other videos in the show notes below. Okay, until next time, bye for now.